Hey traders, Nick Shaheen here, recapping the week ending 9/21. This is a monthly expiration, quad-riching, so we expected a lot of hooplas, but so far the day is somewhat muted. Maybe it's the drunken stupor of the action that happened in Tilray, so the cannabis stocks. So definitely quieter than I expected. The markets are flattish. We did have greens, we lost them. It's a Friday. The week overall, we had records everywhere, so I call this a win for the Bulls, meaning the Bulls are still in charge. How about that? This is probably the best way to say it. This is the S&P. I don't like to see tails like this little candle right there. You can barely see it. They opened here, they tried to fall, they rallied, and now they're back to where they opened. That's indecision. That usually happens before a big move the next day because they're uncertain. Here's another one right there. They're called dojis, and they're somewhat bearish when they leave a tail above like that because that means that they wanted to go, but they let off. However, these are all-time highs. So, and with all the crap that's going on, I don't blame them. Meanwhile, we did forecast this red line. I'm going to click on it. We drew this line before it even started, like somewhere around here. I don't know exactly where. Pretty good, right? Okay, so a dip would not change my mind, would not change the fact that the Bulls are in charge, as long as the news is about the same, meaning we don't have a new shoe to drop. The Friday fight is not done. The VIX is still frisky, even though it's a little red. The VXX is what I'm looking at. So the SPY is a little heavy. I see a little dip coming somewhere in the middle of this candle, so if we go red, it's not going to change my perception on next week. Which brings me to next week. I'm going to say it. The violence that was supposed to be here this week spills into next week. What does that mean? Means we do have downside pressure, a lot of downside pressure. So this is too quiet for what's already in place in the markets. Something has got to give. A wish higher, a wish lower would make probably more sense. And what do we have next week? Aside from earning, we still have earnings. We have the Fed, and the Fed will make a decision on rates, and we have consensus that they will raise. But more importantly, so if they do raise, it's not a big deal. If they do raise more than a quarter, yeah, a big deal, but that would be a shocker. And, we will probably drop 5% one day. But not likely to happen. However, we will hang on, we as the proverbial we, hang on to every word as to what they say. There is a press conference, so they will say what they think going forward. If they use the same words, nothing happens. If they start to sound a little hawkish, meaning that, oh my gosh, inflation's creeping in and it's likely not transient. If they say we have a little more inflation, but we can attribute it to X or Y or a high oil or whatever, then we're okay. Otherwise, we could have a little tizzy there. But then this will be either a temporary leaf pop or a temporary dip. So the temporary dip will probably look something like this, and then we'll resume higher, kind of like what I had here. Not a game changer. So what do I look for? I look for this to expand. So I'm going to extend it now. Oh, look at that. It goes in the middle of the support word I had here. So if we fall, we do have a few support levels. I have this one first, this one, and then that one, and then this one, and then this one. It depends on the news. So we do have violence next week. We also have, I believe, GDP numbers. We have a whole bunch of stuff that comes out before it. Wednesday is the Fed day. So having said that, there is potential, and the markets expect it. What do I mean by that? The open interest in the options expect it. So it didn't happen this week. It's going to spill over next week. Meanwhile, we have individual names that we trade. We talked about Facebook, and there's a trade in the write-up, MDXG, so please read the whole thing before you decide to take it because it's played out in minutes. We got lucky. It played out literally in minutes. So I just shared it because I share everything that happens in the chat room. As far as individual stocks, I'll start with the biggest one just to give us an idea of where to stand. This is Apple coming along exactly how we charted it. How about if I go to the FANG that includes Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and the Googles, both of them. Okay, so we do have risk. I've noted it before. It's somewhere in that zone. It looks like head and shoulder-ish, right? And if this gets lost, we whoosh lower. Amazon is the poster child. Let's go to the Qs, which is pretty much the text. Sitting on a, I'm going to go to 2 hours. Sitting on a, 4 hours, sorry. A potential trigger. So I closed my short-term longs to be cautious. I'm not shorting. I'm still long a whole bunch of other stuff. So I just want to balance my book. These will be just hopium upside calls that I've held, and I have no reason to hold them because they expire in 10, 12 days. I can't remember. And I'm just hoping they work out. But I don't want to do that. I'd rather bet it on a thesis. Speaking of thesis, we were writing the Dow, and this was our target, and price was way below, like somewhere down here. We drew this line, and it came to fruition a couple of times. So we said they're going to set a new high, and they did. Booked the profits there. I left a few runners into next week. Well, this is different because I'm playing with house money, so I can leave them running, and I don't have anything long in the Dow. I don't have CAT. I don't have RT. I do have RTN a little bit, which is Dow-ish, but it's a small position that's I don't want to count it. So balance the books is what I'm saying here, and that is my sentiment. I'm still bullish into the end of the year, but with caution, meaning I keep some balance. I'm still short a few things by being long the VXX, like I said this week. I shared that already. And months and months ago, maybe even a year ago, I showed the small caps way up above this level, and those are still there. So if we drop, I have greens from them. So I'm in balance. If you have any questions, let me know. Nick signing out.